So nice to meet you. The next 30 minutes will be about the road to Autonomous ERP with Agentic AI. My name is Harold Zwanen. I'm a solution architect with Microsoft ISD. A very nice introduction already, so I will not go much into that, but a bit of an introduction. Albert already mentioned digitization, transformation. That's what this event is about. So let's tell a bit more about myself, so that you know who's in front of you. We have 3 transformations I went through in different decades. The first transformation was from chemist to IT, so I have a background in chemistry, and one of my first roles, I got appointed as a key user in an ERP implementation project, and soon found out that analyzing business processes and improving those business processes with IT, I liked it better than the chemical part. So I moved from the atoms and the molecules to the bits and bytes in the 90s, and one of my first roles as a full-time IT specialist was in fact in a cable and wire company, and so I made a transition from copper to consultancy. Worked for 6 years as an information analyst at Belden Wire and Cable here in Europe. Did some ERP rollouts in the various companies, and I really enjoyed being in your industry, in the cable and wire industry, because it's so broad. It's discrete manufacturing, it's process manufacturing, and you have very standardized products, make-to-stock concepts, but also engineer-to-order, ETO, very complex custom products. So it's somebody with a supply chain and logistics interest, and there's a huge variety of concepts, and I really enjoyed being part of that industry for some years. Worked as a consultant primarily with Infor and IBM solutions for some years, but in 2010 moved to the Microsoft platform, Dynamics AX 2009 back then, which was in a better quadrant in the Gartner quadrant than Infor was at that stage. And I never regretted moving towards the Microsoft platform. Worked for a Dutch partner for some years in the manufacturing space, and since 2021 for Microsoft as a solution architect for Microsoft ISD. ISD is Industry Solutions Delivery. It's the services part of Microsoft, formerly known as MCS. So part of the implementation boots on the ground team. So Albert asked, don't do this typical Microsoft sales pitch and make it a bit more real life. So I will try to stay away from the usual roadmap thingies and the Gartner and McKinsey statistics. So today we're going to talk about Autonomous ERP and Agentic AI. 3 topics. So yeah, what is Autonomous ERP? What makes ERP autonomous? How is this Autonomous ERP, how is it embedded into our platform, Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations? And finally, how can you make your ERP more agentic? So more AI, and we'll just continue the same topic as Andrea started, but more from a business applications perspective. Although it was good to see that some of Andrea's slides are pretty much aligned with my story. That's always nice to know as a presenter that you're not, you haven't prepared any slides that are completely contradicting with what the previous speaker was doing. So let's start with Autonomous ERP. And what is Autonomous ERP? In fact, it's a virtual assistant on top of your current ERP, where ERP is traditionally a transaction engine for your logistics and financial transactions. Autonomous ERP is a virtual agent on top of that. And what does this virtual agent do? It's a smart assistant that runs your factory's planning, your inventory, your financial logistics automatically with a minimal human intervention. What makes ERP autonomous? It uses AI and machine learning on top of, let's say, the ERP capabilities as we know it. And with that, it can automate routine tasks. So it can create an order, run transactions, do a period close, release planned orders, anticipate to changes in your supply chain, and reducing the workload of a human by automating those routine tasks. It has also the capability to learn from data, and it can make decisions based on the data, and not just the data that is in your ERP database, but also the dialogue, the interaction you have with your agent, and also it can learn from previous interactions. And again, it reduces the need for human intervention. And so it's where typically the human is driving the ERP processes, it's more or less taking over that role. And then what are agents? Also in the previous presentation, we saw the use of agents. And on this slide you see some typical capabilities of an agent, and I guess they are more or less in line with what Andres has just presented to you. So an agent typically has a user experience, and within Microsoft that's the Copilot user experience, as most of you might know it with the Microsoft Office Copilot that some of you might already use, or other Copilots that you see in Microsoft products. An agent has knowledge either from an ERP database, a large language model, a SharePoint list, an Excel sheet, the web, any kind of information source you can think of. And it also has a memory, so it keeps track of previous conversations, previous dialogues, and that does also contribute to the self-learning capabilities. And then an agent typically has one or more skills, so it can perform certain actions, create an order, look up the inventory, write an email, respond to an email, create an incident, any kind of actions you can think of, and it can run workflows. Not just, let's say, the traditional workflows where you have this, let's say, fixed decision tree, but it can also look at context and more make decisions like humans do. That brings me to the third capability, that's autonomy. So it's autonomous, it can work on its own, it can do its own planning, it can recognize exceptions, can respond to those exceptions, and it is self-learning, so it's improving its skills as it goes. And every agent has orchestrator skills, so it can orchestrate, let's say, the entire process. So it recognizes when to retrieve data, when to perform an action, what he needs to memorize to improve its self-learning, leveraging foundation models such as large language models, machine learning capabilities, computer vision, any kind of AI capability you can think of. And can do that within its own agents, but it can also communicate with other agents. And we even see agents that their primary function is orchestration. And so it's more like a managing agent who is more or less orchestrating the work of other more functional agents. So this is what we talk about an agent. These are typical the capabilities of an agent, an AI assistant. So that's a bit about the concepts around autonomous ERP. So it's AI and machine learning on top of ERP with the use of AI agents that can automate tasks. So now how is this embedded into Dynamics 365? What are the out-of-the-box capabilities you can expect now and in the future? And let's start with an overview of more or less the concept, the vision, as Microsoft has it in mind. And that starts with a so-called immersive experience, an immersive user experience, which means that the user's UI and the experience of the user is completely adapted towards the process you're in. A typical UI is, so let's say, more or less the same, can differ a bit compared to the role you have in an organization and the functions you have in your ERP, but more or less everybody that uses Dynamics 365 F&O has the same type of user interface. An immersive user interface will adapt according to the process you're in. So on top we see an agent, what we call a company agent. That's more or less this orchestrator function. This is the agent where the user communicates. So the user is having a dialogue with the agent. The agent is using data to understand the question and to propose the best follow-up action with suggestions. And dependent on the ask of the customer, it will then determine which functional agent can best perform this job. And a functional agent can be in any of those functions, requirements, processes as you see here. And so when it's procurement related, it will call the functional agent for procurement. If it's manufacturing related, it will go to plan to produce, and so on. Orchestration function primarily with this top company agent. So these are areas where you will see that Microsoft will invest in future functional agents, and one of the agents that has recently been released, although it's still in, I guess, production-ready preview, so it will be generally available within short notice, is the supplier collaboration portal. This is a portal that helps in the procurement department with communicating with external suppliers, reading mails, responding to emails. I'd like to show you a short video on how this supplier communication agent works. So here we go.
Agents are transforming the procurement space like never before. Say you're a procurement specialist trying to make sure critical supply arrives on time for production. The Supplier Communication Agent in Dynamics 365 helps you navigate through hundreds of supplier emails and order changes each day. The agent reads through your emails, assesses any supply disruptions, and updates purchase orders in real time, freeing you up to handle the important things like negotiating better deals and managing supplier performance. And when a supply delay impacts a critical order, the agent evaluates inventory and offers the best mitigation plan, ensuring your customers get their goods on time. The agent will also recommend work it can do on your behalf, like following up with suppliers on pending orders to avoid costly last-minute rushes. You maintain full control, reviewing and determining whether to adopt these suggestions, and it learns alongside you, proposing updates to its logic for your review. At any time, you can review all of the tasks you've delegated, see the history log of activity, and measure the impact to you and your processes. Now, you can finally shift your focus to the big picture strategies that drive growth, knowing that the agent has your back in a complex supply chain environment.
Or maybe some of you have seen this movie before. Right? It's one of the first agents that has been released. As you can see, it's really anticipating to, let's say, unstructured content, email communication, recognizes the content of that email, and it can turn it to, let's say, to structured transactions in your ERP by updating your purchase orders, dates, by recognizing where there is a conflict, where it should anticipate, where it should reach out to the vendor. And as we move forward, you will see more co-pilot capabilities being part of the Dynamics platform. If you look at what is in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations today, then you will see these capabilities. Some of them are more generic, generative AI on the help function, generative AI on workflow history summaries, the immersive home experience. I'll show you a bit more about that later. And then some specific capabilities in the different apps. So a co-pilot in commerce to enrich product data. We have some finance capabilities and some in the supply chain. Some of you are maybe already working with the new demand planning capabilities. We see some cool co-pilot capabilities on top of that. And as just saw, the supplier communication agents. So we are already quite some capabilities, as we move forward, you will see in the coming year that those capabilities will be enriched, and you will see new capabilities appear, and not just the supplier collaboration agent as you just saw, but also the interface as such. We'll make some changes, so I'll show you another movie of the immersive home that is still in preview, but will be released pretty soon, and that's where you see how this Copilot UI will be an integral part of the F&O experience. So let's give it a go.
With adaptive experiences, both individual users and organizations feel empowered by intelligent, context-aware work surfaces that promote productivity, efficient decision-making, and streamlined agent-supported workflows.
We start by logging into Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. The interface welcomes us with a new option, the Immersive Home experience. With a simple click, we switch over to Immersive Home. The screen refreshes to reveal a vibrant workspace focused on productivity, highlighting actionable work items right where they're needed. Next, let's explore the built-in agent functionality. Notice how the interface prompts us to try out the agent. This callout appears across various pages connected to the relevant job to be done. It gives us an early glimpse of the agent's potential impact, such as highlighting the number of orders needing follow-up. With curiosity, we click on Try Out to see how this agent can streamline our workflow. The agent has been tasked with drafting reminder emails, requesting user review before they're sent out. These drafts will appear centrally within the user's adaptive home experience, ready for easy review and action. Users can always monitor the agent's ongoing activities, manage all active agents, and effortlessly toggle individual agents on or off as needed. They can effortlessly activate a new agent using the available templates from the agent library. A natural language configuration experience makes it simple to instruct the agent on how to operate, while an intuitive lookup feature brings the relevant options directly to the user. An integral part of the experience is a chronological summary, which combines the Microsoft Copilot Studio log with the log of agent actions within finance and operations. This transparency not only fosters user trust in the AI agent but also ensures compliance with the transparency requirements of the EU AI Act.
And so this is what you can expect real soon in your finance and operations, a new way of interacting, a Copilot AI agent being an integral part of the platform, with some out-of-the-box agents, but also with the capability to build your own prompts based on the prompt editor as you just saw. And this will also be a framework, and not just for Microsoft to build agents on, but also from our partners. So as we move forward, you will see that our ISVs and the partners in the network, they are also capable of embedding their agents to support your specific progresses. So maybe one day we will see an agent like we see here on this banner appear in Dynamics 365 with those specific capabilities that you as a wire and cable company needs. So in the coming months, years, you will see a more and more AI being an integral part of your ERP platform.
Dynamics 360.
So that's what Dynamics 365 offers out of the box. And you'll see more and more function agents, and on top of that, this immersive home experience where you can build your own agents, and you can also leverage agents from our industry partners such as Innovites. The next part of the presentation will be about how to make your ERP agentic, because as you saw, most of the scenarios that are already supported are, let's say, pretty generic, and they are in processes that are more or less similar in every organization, financial related, procurement related, while the real innovation is more in your operations. And that's where you as a business differentiate. Some of them is industry specific, and you can rely on our partners such as Innovites, but some capabilities might be custom specific. Only your company is applicable only to your company. So rather than just, let's say, rely on what comes out of the box or what your partners can provide, it's also good to have a strategy on what makes our business unique and how can we build Agentic AI capabilities that are custom specific, either yourself or with partners such as Andres, who are really industry experts and who can help you in building those agents and embedding those agents as part of your business application landscape. And most people who are in ERP for some years, they remember the days of the legacy ERPs with heavy customizations where every capability should be part of your ERP and would also lead to customize the ERP code base. With the cloud ERP, with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, that's no longer a valid model. We do have 4 new releases every year, and if you have tons of customizations, that requires management, maintenance for every release. So we see more and more a focus on keep to standard, keep using out-of-the-box capabilities, and see your ERP as a hub, as a foundation, your transactional backbone of your system, of your company, with spoke solutions on top of that. And the cloud offers the capabilities to build those integrations without customizing your F&O code base. And so what we see more and more is let's say an ERP surround strategy. So you surround your ERP with capabilities, functionalities, apps, agents that are applicable to your business, and you leave your ERP untouched. So every company has an ERP core that can be finance and operations, could also be 2-tier, that you have a main office that runs on SAP, or you have smaller companies who run Business Central, but in general, most companies, they do have a standard ERP core base. And with finance and operations, with dual write, with virtual entities, you also have a Dataverse environment and a Fabric environment on top of that. That already gives you some capabilities to build your own model-driven apps and to communicate or to connect with ERP data using the virtual entities as they exist in Dataverse. Yeah, and the first layer of Agentic AI, Autonomous ERP, is what we have just discussed. The out-of-the-box capabilities that come with Dynamics that you can configure yourself using the immersive home experience. And on top of that, we have our ISV partners such as Innovite, who, let's say, bring in that industry-specific touch, because Dynamics 365 F&O, it does support some industries, manufacturing, retail, finance, but it is out of the box and not meant to support wire and cable requirements, and therefore we do have our partners who make finance and operations industry specific. And they can build on top of that Autonomous ERP later and include their own AI agents. And then we see in almost every company a surrounding of all kinds of applications that are in most cases not really structured. It can be a SharePoint list, an Excel sheet, a standalone application. And if we are having discussions with our customers around AI, Agentic AI, then we often get the feedback, we don't have our data ready, we cannot use that data in our AI models. And because of that, we see more and more companies who are developing a so-called hyper automation strategy, which means that you're going to automate in fact almost every process within the company. In old days, it might not be a business case to make a customization in ERP or to purchase a best of breed solution to support a certain scenario, but with the current low-code platforms, it's, let's say, fairly easy, fairly straightforward to build your own apps, even to build an own app based on an Excel sheet or a SharePoint list. And that offers tons of opportunities. You can create apps, more formal applications to really capture also this really detailed micro transactions within your organization in real time while the operator is actually performing them. And that provides a lot of data, a lot of knowledge that you can leverage in your AI strategy. Because ideally, if you have those hyper-automation opportunities, you make sure that the data you're collecting is somehow related to your, let's say, formal transactions in finance and operations. And so if you have a real management app or a length calculator or any kind of app you can think of that is particular to your business, and make sure that once you register a certain reel, that it is associated to the right batch number in F&O, to the right production order in F&O, so that in the end you can bring all the data together and to build those agentic AI use cases. Because that's then the next layer. If you have your ERP in place, if you have those autonomous ERP capabilities as they come out of the box, and probably enrich with what our ISV partners can offer. You have a thorough hyper-automation strategy, and you really digitalize, let's say, almost every transaction in the organization. And you have the fuel to build those agentic AI capabilities, because data is the fuel for agentic AI. That can start, let's say, fairly straightforward, using tools like Copilot Studio, and that's also the low-code platform to build your own agents. And as you progress, you can transition towards the more pro-code capabilities such as AI Foundry. So if you look at a typical architecture, we see again this adaptive experience with the enterprise agent platforms. At the core, the ERP, which is the foundation, the transaction engine that you typically leave untouched. We do have some agility at the edge, and so you can integrate with maybe local finance solutions, local sales and distribution solutions such as a portal or a web shop, or think about integration towards a 3PL, operations, MES, quality control systems that can integrate with Dynamics. But the core as such remains untouched with the three applications as we know them, finance, supply chain, commerce, and a set of agents. And we saw already let's say the first party agents, so the agent that comes out of the box, supplier collaboration, Copilot for finance, and other Copilot agents that Microsoft offers out of the box. You will see as we progress more and more third party agents from our partners. So for example, we might see some agents from Innovite, from other ISVs, Xflow, Extension, Stedin, who will also build agents on top of the Dynamics platform. And then you can build your own custom agents, as we just saw, using that ERP surround strategy. First with Copilot Studio, we do offer a lot of connectors so that you can fairly easy connect to external sources, not just, let's say, our own business applications, but also other applications that are in the market. So that you can, let's say, speed up really fast, and you can build Copilot agents within some weeks. And just start with those, let's say, low-code tools. Just start, make it work, and with an iterative approach, make it better, and really push the limits. And only when you have reached the limits of the, let's say, the low-code platform, transition towards those more mature pro-code capabilities. For inspiration, this is an example of one of the customers I'm working for at the moment. It's a steel service center. Their business is they purchase steel coils at a steel mill, and they slit and cut those coils into sheets and coils for their customers. And so it's procurement of standard coils with different material grades, and then they slit and cut them to the customer dimensions. For your business, you can compare it. You buy big reels, and then you cut them into special lengths, special put-ups for your customers. That's, let's say, more or less what they do. And the business is that their customers, they send them PDFs with material specification sheets, and today they do have engineers who are just reading those PDF documents, They are checking their product database if they have a steel grade that is matching those requirements, and then if they already have a finished product with exact those dimensions. And that process can take, let's say, for 1.5 hours when it's an existing product with existing dimensions, up to 10 days before they can create a sales order because of all the internal work they need to do. So with this agent, we just import those PDFs. We use document intelligence to retrieve the data, the customer data, product data. And we see this agent 0, which is more or less the orchestrator who's retrieving the information from the document, then determines, is this a finished product that we know? Is this a steel grade that we know? And depending on the outcome, it will then, let's say, trigger one or more of the agents below. So when it is a new finished product, it will create a new finished product with the routing into F&O. If it's a new raw material, it will create a bill of material for that new raw material, and in the end it will create a sales order. So it's a sales order creation process, the determination, let's say transitioning the customer's requirements into products is completely managed within this agent. And as we also saw in Andres' presentation, we also have here this human in the loop, as we used to call it, especially when you just start with agents. When there's an exception that the agent can't handle, and make sure that you have an exception path to an expert who can then provide his feedback. The agent, the model can learn from that and then prevent that, let's say, that you have 2 times the same exception. The model learns from the input from the user and will make the agent even better. So this is just an example for inspiration, and this is not just leveraging data from finance and operations, but it's also leveraging and using data from PLM software like Siemens Teamcenter, and there are of course more PLM applications out there in the market that typically capture those product attributes that you need to have to determine if this is a known product, yes or no. Just to wrap up, some areas where we see most opportunities for AI transformation. It's about enriching employee experiences. So make your employees more productive, eliminate the need to do repetitive tasks so that your operators can do value-added work and can leave the repetitive tasks to the agent. Reinvent customer engagement, so use AI agents to get a closer relation with your customer, to better understand your customer, to change the way you communicate, you engage with your customers. It's about reshaping business processes, like we just saw. We have this manual business process. We automate it. You can even think about completely redesigning a business process. And another one is bend the curve on innovation. So how can you use AI to speed up your innovation process within your company? Can you bring products faster to the market with AI? Can I explore new markets using AI? Can I be more innovative as a company using AI? So those are the 4 opportunities. As an approach, already mentioned, so start small. Start with the low-code capabilities of the platform, Copilot Studio, Power Platform, and push them to the limits before you start working with the more advanced, the more pro-code capabilities. We see, as we progress, also more transition paths. So start small with the low-code, and as you progress, transition those into more pro-code, more advanced features. And I think fully in line with also Andres' closure is make sure you have a cybersecurity foundation in place the moment you start working with AI, because it's really powerful, but it also brings in risks in terms of security. So make sure that in terms of endpoints and all the things you need to take care of, they are in place. And on top of that, not just cybersecurity, but also responsible AI, so accountability, privacy, the ethical standards around AI, and make sure that you keep them in place. So that's about Autonomous ERP and Agentic AI on the Dynamics platform, and a way to extend your ERP using the low-code and pro-code capabilities of Power Platform and Azure. So thank you. Not sure if there is room for any questions. Otherwise, I'm happy to take them during the network sessions and during the lunch.
Maybe one or two questions before we go to lunch? Yeah, we can do one or two questions.
Just a little bit new to me. I just want to make sure that I understood correctly. Even if you have a different ERP system, a different software vendor, you can use Azure Dataverse layer, and from there use your products. Is that a valid question? Or you have to use the Dynamic 365 ecosystem from the start?
Okay, so the question is, can you use these capabilities only on the Dynamics platform or also on other ERP platforms? Yeah. So yeah, it's not just Dynamics. Obviously, we do offer those connectors for the Dynamics platform, but there's also connectors to other platforms or more generic communication capabilities like OData, APIs. So it's definitely not that those capabilities only can be built on top of Dynamics customers. We see also customers who are using other ERP, CRM, PLM platforms who use Azure and Power Platform capabilities to build AI on top of it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
What is Microsoft doing with AI with regards to one of the most fun parts of an ERP, the implementation? Because that's always the biggest fear of many companies implementing a new ERP. How are you leveraging Copilot, the Copilot ecosystem for implementation?
So the question is how to leverage Copilot during the implementation. Actually, a very valid question. We see Copilot also being part now of Azure DevOps. So, for example, I'm now working on a project where we use the Copilot in DevOps to create test cases out of user stories. To be honest, I'm pushing the product group real hard to bring in more, because, as you just said, and I fully agree, it would be great if we can use Copilot capabilities on top of, for example, Task Recorder to make the creation of working instructions less time consuming, to make better working instructions, to use also external sources to build those working instructions. So it's definitely on the radar. Honestly, I'm implementing myself. We are in fact let's say an internal Microsoft partner. Yeah, we are really pushing product group and fast track to bring in those capabilities because we see the value. Until now, I only know about this Azure DevOps Copilot capability, but I know there's more in the pipeline, and there's a strong focus on the from product group and fast track also to use Copilot to make the life of implementation projects more easy. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
One more question. I'm relating back to the first picture with Andres' presentation, where it was difficult to find the right level of employees. So do you think that this will help in this matter, or because I can also see a risk for a gap between what is possible and what is practically possible? Have you thought about? Is that something that I only fear for no reason?
Let me make sure if I understand the question correctly. So that they have let's say a lack of knowledge, and is mean to build those agents, or just
No, I'm thinking to operate them. To be honest, to operate operate this AI, when it becomes very advanced, what you can do, then it also in the end take more to who designs this and who operates it, who makes sure that AI is doing the right thing. So I have a fear that it will be difficult to take ownership of this. I mean, you got before it was an example of a production manager maybe not so willing to improve, and then I think it can be even more difficult when it comes to order processing to find people that can take responsibility of this. Or
about the change.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a valid concern. I mean, the quality of the agent is obviously dependent on the input, so you need skilled resources to build the right model, to be that human in the loop. That's typically then a very skilled resource. So what you will see is that less skilled workers, they will use the agent, let's say initially the more routine automate task will be performed by the agent. If it is an exception that the agent can handle, it will then call the human in the loop, which is then typically that very experienced senior colleague. And with his input, you would then further, let's say, improve the model. So I think that in the end, for the most processes, you can have less skilled resources, or maybe even completely automate the process.
Yeah, I think you can have fewer resources, but you would still have to have the best one.
Yeah, so you will end up with a few real experts who understand the model, who can train the model, who can maintain the model, and let's say the less skilled resources who typically do that routine jobs, they will be replaced by the agent. That's
and that's where I come from. If it is difficult to find the workers in the first place.
To find those skilled workers. So you better be careful with your skilled employees, and also make sure that they are part of this transition and that they get that AI first mindset, and that rather than being, let's say, the hero at their department where everybody goes to, that they transition to, they're still a hero, but they're then a hero in maintaining and feeding and improving AI models. But it's definitely a valid concern, a valid question, because this also is, has a huge impact on how you work, how you collaborate, and how agents will more or less take roles that used to be performed by humans.